So this is the Kingdom Mentor podcast, but if you're watching this during this particular day, can we just pause for a second before we get into this podcast and just pray for Israel and the battles going on? Let's keep them in our prayers, okay? I'm so glad you could join us. It is the Kingdom Mentor podcast, and we're going to be talking about winning the war on your voice. I just came back from something that was my dream, and that was to speak on stages. And there were many wars to get to that point, but that's not the point of this because I want to talk about you. But what does it mean to win the war on your voice? Let me take you to what I said. It was right after the second day of being on stage, just to give you some background on this. I had gone through something that was very traumatic and to the point of where you become a soul survivor to a soul provider. How about that? Can you really go from being just surviving to providing for yourself? GPA offers that. For me personally, with the Speaker Academy, I had needed a safe place to activate a dream that was in my heart. And because there was so much trauma, so much unknown love, I had to win that. And it was so awesome to find, really, again, a safe place to this, to win the war on my voice. And when you win the war on your voice, that's the beginning of you going in that direction that God has called you. Whether you win the war on your voice on stage, or with your family, or your business, that's the ticket. And you need to be here, because this will be your ticket to your destiny, to your dreams. I know you got dreams. Come on, girl. Let's see them. I know you got good dreams, girl. Come on. So I was at Girl Power Alliance's Activate conference. The first part of it was the Speaker Academy. And I will tell you, I was nervous. It was scary to a certain degree, but it was something I was ready to do. So I had to win the war on my voice in the sense of winning my war over trauma. If you don't know, I'm really passionate to help women who feel voiceless because of trauma find transformation by discovering their voice, embracing it, and speaking with a message that impacts the world. I'm also passionate with what comes along with this alliance, and that's personal and leadership development and a chance to make money on the side. So like a lot of times I say, can you imagine be aligned with kingdom women who love Jesus and are all out on that personal leadership development? Well, you can click on the link in my show notes here to find out more about that. But it just makes me all the more passionate about you and your voice. Like I said, you can win the war of your voice in your business, in your family. Maybe you have a coaching business. You can win the war to be able to present yourself, because I believe you have an extraordinary solution to that. So the thought of do it scared came to me, and I love this because anyway, I was talking with just a brilliant businesswoman while I was there, and she hit me up with a text last night, and she just said, do it scared until you learn your ways. And then she reminded me of what I had done. So maybe when I say do it scared, you're thinking, oh, that's fear. No, actually, if fear can actually take care of you. That's a whole nother video and podcast. Maybe we'll get Alana to explain that. But when it means do it scared, it means put yourself out there. Get on with it, whatever your voice pertains to. Some of us, we just need to invest. See, that's what I did with investing with the Radiant Speaker Academy. So I had some thoughts I just wanted to share about doing it scared and about your voice. So this is my heart, that in the heart of America, there's a war going on in more ways than one, of the silencing of voices. And I lost my notes, so you're going to have to deal with me. The thing is, what happens when you say yes? So the CEO of Girl Power Alliance said yes to God over forming an alliance of women that wanted to learn personal and leadership development. I'm not going to get my notes, so I get to wing it. And she said yes. So what does your yes entail? I really believe on the other side of your yes is God's yes that meets you right there to win that war, to do it scared. Do it scared, I think of, I can think of a lot of things. Some people are terrified to go live. I understand. I remember those days. Then I said, okay, I'm going to go live 3 times a week. This was back in 2019, 2020, where you went live and boom, everyone came to the Facebook. The algorithm has changed. But like, do it live on Instagram. What are you going to fight for? Sometimes you become the one with the voice that fights for the voiceless. Think about the voiceless in the sex trade trafficking. Think of the violence that you could be a voice of truth in the midst of this war in Israel. You might be a voice of truth in another cause that's just so passionate. No one is speaking, but you're like, no, this is on my heart. I'm passionate about this and I'm going to speak. So let's see if I can get some more notes up. This is the wonders of live video and live podcasts. You get to just kind of wing it. Then you get to say, I had some notes, so I don't think I can get them on. But the gist of it was the fact that I said yes to some things, obviously to my voice, but I also said yes to something that I'm very passionate about. And that's mentoring, that's leadership, that's personal development for you. So you can end the chance to make money from home so that you can rise up and be the hero of your family. So let me tell you a story about how my voice got shut down. I was always passionate about speaking. Even as a kid, I'd climb up the stairs of this old house and I'd get to the top of it and I would preach. I was Catholic. It was a good homily. In that same house, my dad brought home what was then considered modern technology. Are you following me? It was a tape recorder with the tape in it. And he said, don't touch it. He put it under his bed. Well, one day when he went off to work, I pulled that thing out and kind of had to observe it. Let's see, how does this work? Quickly figured that out. And then I could record and hear my voice. Fascinated by that as a young age. So all day long while Dad was at work, I would just interview my brothers. I would pretend like I was Walter Cronkite, and I was really working on a comedy act. I really liked Carol Burnett back then. I thought I was just very funny. And all 4 of my brothers told me separately that my mom was the only one laughing. So we went to another house. We're talking about winning the war on your voice, the war that comes against you. But when you're young, it's just like, crawl up to the top of the steps and preach. It was just like, everything was just like, so easy, no negative, no resistance. We moved to this other house and there are no steps, just these 2 small steps. I remember one day looking at those steps and thinking, and then I caught on the distance in my eye, an Apple Card. So I tipped that thing over. I had got saved at this particular place we lived. Tipped that thing over, and I started to preach to the birds, the bees, and the apple trees. They needed Jesus. So do you see the threads of the voice? There might be a thread of your identity that you can look back and say, what did I like to do at play? I got up on Apple Cards. I am opening up an Apple computer, an Apple phone with filters, of course, and speaking and encouraging. I've been doing that on an Apple product for the last 15 years. Threads. So what did you like to do when you were young? I know I had a friend, a very dear friend, who had a serious brain injury at 3 or 4. Do you know what she does today? She works on people's their brains, so that they can win the war on their voice with some good therapy. Thank you very much, Alana Vandeventer. I had to go through some therapy. Why did I have to go through some therapy? Well, let's continue on. So I was always looking to find a stage. I was a really good golfer, became professional golfer. And then after 3 years, it kind of crashed and burned. But miraculously, I ended up at a Christian FM station just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. At that particular time, it was the only FM station. Everyone listened to it. So I was learning how to find my voice by being paid to talk and pray on the air. That was pretty cool. About 6 years in, the war began. I got married. And the man I married was struggling with some things, and he kind of was jealous of me. Like, my maiden name was Shrek. I'm Shrek before the movie. Okay. So if they called him David Shrek, he hated it. It's like, no, I don't. So there was seeds of confrontation, seeds of control that started to seep in. Now, I don't say this to shame him, okay? I say this to say you can win the war on your voice even in a difficult marriage. things went on, and I had to fight to find my voice in the midst of control. I will say in 2019, I was studying all along. I got to tell you, studying video, studying marketing. I had some pretty good clients along the way, but I got my voice up to ask people to come on in a blueprint call. And if they said yes, I led them to the Kingdom Mentor Academy. And for 3 or 4 years, I just poured into those ladies. It was so fun, so neat. It was all about identity, seeing women find their identity. Now that crashed and burned because my husband crashed and burned. He was involved in a fire that burned him third-degree burns over 30% of his body while we were in the midst of moving. I'll never forget that picture. It was like a burn barrel. You know how you burn stuff and to burn debris? And the one day I didn't go down there because I was packing China, not moving to China, packing China. And I'll never forget, he said that it had been raining and he took a bucket or something and he had gasoline in it and he threw it on the burn barrel, but the bare bucket flew back in him. So I put my plate down, look out the window, and he is fully on fire. Fire, I'm telling you guys. I grabbed something, which later I found out was flammable, and ran out there and my friend just yelled, roll. Well, he had tried to roll, but by the time I got there, he was literally peeling the shirt sleeve off that was on fire. Trauma. That stopped my voice. And we're not talking about, okay, I had to put down the Kingdom Mentor Academy, my voiceovers and my podcast. That's not what I'm talking about in this particular issue. It has everything to do with identity because I was Nurse T. He didn't want to go to the hospital and he didn't want to take pain meds. Put those two together and you get the picture. We eventually moved and the screams continued. He screamed at me a lot. It was hard. He screamed at God a lot at night. God, help me to sleep. You know, when you're in the midst of trauma, sometimes you're not aware of what you see. My husband's health continued to decline. I sent a picture off to my kids and they were there the next weekend, all 5 of them. And they looked like my daughter. I'll never forget her. She's like, at the end of the visit, she said, Mom, he has cancer. I said, oh, no, he didn't have cancer. Sure enough, they took him the next day, stage 4 pancreatic cancer. There was a war going on my voice, but this isn't a war I was meant to win at this particular time. My job was to stay by his side, no matter how hard that was, and the shouts and the screaming, the negative comments. But the war that I had to win was up here. He was diagnosed February, March, April, May, June 5th, he passed away. Even his death was traumatic. I'm just telling you, it was just horrible. So I had to go on a journey to find my voice. Part of the journey, I went to Australia and visited 3 friends, and I drank a lot of beer. Just being real. I came home about Thanksgiving, and I received a transcribed by my son-in-law note that Dave wanted me to read. I was freaking mad because he admitted all the troubles that I had all through our marriage. I'm like, why couldn't he have told me that in person? I didn't need to be validated. Do you understand what I'm saying? No shame here. But I was so glad for him that he made it right, even if it was in writing before he went to be with Jesus. He was a freaky prophetic man. So I dealt with that by drinking gin seltzers all the month of December. I mean, I was dead and numb out. I was mad. The war was raging for my voice. Now, I will say something. I have a placard that says, fueled by Jesus and coffee. I was able to find this safe place. And I think it's the only really place, the bedrock of the place, where you can win the war on your voice. So by January, I realized this drinking isn't going to help my neural pathways. So I quit drinking. And I went on this journey of not realizing that trauma was stored in my body. So how did I win the war on my voice from that to going on stage and confidently and excited speaking? I'll have to tell you, it was a journey of finding or thanking God that he brought along a neuropsycho facilitator who worked with me week after week after week and is still working with me today to rewire the trauma. So sometimes stepping up to the plate to find your voice is simply a process in personal development. So you can be the leader you're meant to be. And yes, some of that personal development does have to do with your mental health. I think you've heard me talk in different ways about how much that helped me, how I was able to just work through, not realizing that, okay, I was having watery eyes and I couldn't stay awake at night, that was actually the trauma that was lodged in there. But I learned things like forgiveness, that's a process. I learned the restore of really being able to continue the bedrock. I mean, if I don't have 2 hours in the word, I'm like, okay, what time do I have to be at work? Okay, I got to get to it. It's not real. It's not a religious thing. It's like, I got to be in a secret place because there's some fractures that need to be healed. And as I did that, as I went through some therapy and went through understanding the expectancy mindset, which is a mindset that's based in Thanksgiving, that's like the rebuild process. So you can repair, restore, and rebuild. I'm just giving this to you in framework, a small. The expectancy mindset is so exciting because from that place of thanksgiving, even though you have no evidence of what you want to see, you start thanking God for it. Jesus, the greatest example. He had 5,000 to feed. He said, what do we got, guys? 5 fish, 2 loaves? Just can see, let's do it. But for our sake, he lifted up his hands, he lifted up that bread, and he thanked God. So you can be thankful. Every day be thankful. I'm a part of a mastermind. Before we ask a question, that we have to say what we're thankful for. I love it. I'm also behind this alliance that provided a speaker academy so I could learn some basics and be able to speak in front of people. So where are you at? Do you need some repair and restore? Do you need to be able to go through the process? That's what this alliance is all about, which I'm really excited because they are very much about getting to the core of who you are. Lovers of Jesus who rally around you like a community. People who love you for who you are, not for what you're not. People who celebrate who you are. People who call out the gold amidst the dust. People who, in the midst of a conference, decide, hey, let's go up to the pool on the top of the hotel and let's go do some baptisms. That was the most amazing thing. I got baptized. I got baptized to be dunked in my fear, my doubt, and my stuff to be able to go forward. So, if nothing else, may my story be a hope and a reminder for you that you can win your voice, that you can find someone who comes up alongside of you and leads you and teaches you and mentors you. And you're also at the same time, you're a part of a group that comes together and believes in each other. And some of them, they're really good at showing you how to make money. Isn't that exciting? Gotta work, don't get me wrong. It's not a get rich thing, but it's definitely a thing that is real. So as I continue my voice, I got a voice a course, signature course, it's almost done. As I work on that, I could go forward, and I do it scared by telling people about this. I mean, why would I be scared? It's something I know we all need, and it's something you need. It's something I need. Personal development, leadership, continue mindset training. You can check the link in my bio here for more on that. I'd really love to see you jump in and hey, listen. I'll talk to you. Hook up with me and hit me on a DM on Instagram at Theresa Croft, and we'll set up a time to talk. Just 30 minutes. It's actually what I used to do called the blueprint call. And they're really fun because I get to listen to you and then I get to give you a little blueprint, action steps. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I'm so glad we're opening it up just for 30 days. So the spots are limited. DM me on Instagram for that. So what do you need to win the war on today? Your voice, like I said, represents your identity. So often we need the key to unlock it. And oftentimes the key is that right connection at the right time, at that right group at the right time, at the saying, hey, I'm not going to binge out on TV every night. I'm going to do something. I'm a good binger too. So no throwing stuff at you. Just being real. I really believe in you. I believe you have a voice, and I believe your voice is set up. You know what y'all have all you really have to do to access the key is to say yes. Yes to God, yes to yourself. Yes, that hey, I know I'm known. I know I'm worthy. I know I'm called. I know I'm called for stages or for writing that book, or I know I need to get on camera more for the sake of my coaching business or my whatever business, my product. So I need to win the war on my voice. I'd like nothing more than to see that. So coming up, we got some great interviews. I actually got an interview coming up with one of our voice coaches from this past weekend. And coming up this Friday, amazing woman who won the war on her voice by simply being able to put past some terrible drama, the trauma. Can't wait to share with her. And I've got others I can't wait to share with you. So it's not just me talking, but I do enjoy this privilege of being able to come and speak to you and just say, you are enough. I'm so proud of you. If you stayed this long, I'm really proud of you. You can win the war on your voice, friend. There's nothing more that I would like to see than you win the war on your voice. I'm Theresa Croft. I'll talk to you in the next podcast. It's the Kingdom Mentor podcast on Apple or all podcast distributors. And hey, will you do me a favor and share it? Write a review. That helps it spread to more people. Talk to you in the next.